I'm not sure if it'll pick it up again. I was like, my computer just crashed. I just like upgraded it, so I have to double check a couple of things before I can continue streaming. So hopefully that doesn't affect it tomorrow. But it's like, yeah, I was just streaming, and then all of a sudden it said it's just like, oh, your computer crashed, boom, and it just disappeared on me. So, um, there was a question. Somebody asked a question, but I couldn't get to it because it went away. So if the person tunes back in, please make sure to just like ask the question again. Um, if you're still there, just ask the question so that way I know. I know because I was trying to read it, but then my computer crashed, so I wasn't able to answer the question that was there. So whoever has the question, if you're still in here, please don't hesitate to ask it again, so that way I could try to assist you as best I can. Um, that way, but yeah, like literally, I was just talking, and all of a sudden my computer said, "Oh, error." So I'm like, okay. So what I figure is I need to see if I have the right drivers for it to make sure that my motherboard and my computer is good. Is that the Mag series? No, it's not Mag. It's yeah, because I have a lighter spell. Yeah. So that was the thing. It was just like went through that. I lost it. Somehow the information didn't go through. For some reason, this didn't charge my thing, which is weird. Um, but yeah, if y'all got any questions, just go ahead and ask. It was just weird because it was just like my computer just crashed on me, so it was just like I couldn't really do anything or be of assistance because the thing just disappeared. So, um, I have to just set this up because I'm downloading the stuff to try to update my drivers because I updated the computer and I almost canceled tomorrow's live stream because it was giving me issues where I was trying to log into the computer, but it wasn't allowing me to log in. So since I changed the hardware in the computer, it was asking me to put in the PIN I had before, but it said because the new hardware, the PIN didn't work. So I was trying to submit it again and submit it again. And it was just like, hey, you know how it says like reset your password or something like that? They always send you that link to like reset it. So every time I did that, I never got the email. My email was correct, but Microsoft was just not sending it out. So I was starting to get frustrated and I was about to just wipe my whole computer just to start over. And then somehow I logged in, I guess, on my secondary computer, and that I guess maybe like pushed it to like let it be known as like, oh, this account is actually real. I guess I don't know what it was doing, but I got it now, so at least that gave me that. But um, I just gotta download this and then just go through the process of doing it so that I can update it. And once it's updated, I should be good to go. And then hopefully I don't have any other problems. But we'll do it off the phone for now. If it leads to it, then tomorrow we'll do the same thing and just try to do it off the phone like this. And we'll just do the workshop just regularly like this instead of doing it through the thing. So it might be more of a talk and just questions. You ask the questions, I'll answer them. Because I won't be able to show it if my computer craps out again. So to avoid that problem, we will try to go that route and not have to worry about it. So that's the only thing. Yo, Crip. Appreciate the super chat, man. It's not necessary, but I appreciate it. Is this normal for no CMP exam, but the DBQ filled out by VA for sleep apnea secondary? So the thing is basically when it comes to a grip, the issue with that is like you basically filed for a secondary with sleep apnea through the VA. The DBQ is filled out. If you have the information, it's like almost submitting like a fully developed claim. You have a claim that basically has the information you already need. So let's say you did the sleep study already. The sleep study shows you have severe obstructive sleep apnea. I don't really got to ask you many questions when your study shows that information. See what I'm saying? So basically, they don't need to provide a CMP exam because you have the documentation already showing it. And with sleep apnea, it's pretty sleep apnea is one of those straightforward ones. I don't have to check if you have range of motion and stuff like that. Your sleep study will contribute and will show, hey, this person has severe sleep apnea. I don't need to process anything after that. It's literally, I can submit this and move forward with this because the documentation is already there to provide that. Now it's just basically like, hey, we see you have sleep apnea. It's that bad that we need to give you a CPAP machine. So you're just gonna go through the process. They're gonna fill it out and you're gonna get your CPAP machine and you'll get your 50% rating. So that's what makes it easier when it's the thing. A lot of the times it's like if a person is going and they're trying to get a sleep study done and they don't have everything contributed to it, that's when they're going to want to do stuff. But for sleep apnea, that's one of those that they don't really go too in depth in because your paperwork is self-explanatory. That's one of those that is just like it's self-explanatory. It's not like the how can you put it? It's not like anything musculoskeletal or anything of the sort. Sleep apnea is plain and simple. You got a sleep study and it shows you got sleep apnea and it shows and you have the service connection. So if it's already showing that you have the service connection, there's no need for a CMP exam because you have the documentation. There is just it's just basically it goes to the VA rater. They look at the information. Oh, sleep study. Yeah, this dude got severe. He starts breathing 100 times an hour or something like that. I don't need to ask you. You see, you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to take the time to send you to a CMP examiner for them to ask you. It was like, so how does it affect you? Clearly, y'all can tell I stopped breathing 100 times an hour. So that those are the ones that are like easier that you don't have to worry about because if it's a DBQ field, it has all that information and it has it in there. The thing you are trying to make sure in those cases is the service connection is bulletproof. That's what your concern should be. Not about the CMP exam, is making sure that you have everything in that filing that shows that you have the service connection. Because if you did the sleep study, let's say in service, and then you got it like that, that's one thing. If you have a DBQ and it's showing, but it's secondary, it's easier because it's a secondary claim. So you're doing it as a secondary claim. It's not a primary. So that makes it a lot easier because now it's just like, okay, he has sleep apnea, but he is tying it with this nexus letter to this primary. So whatever you're tying it to, that's where the connection has to be. You just got to make sure your nexus letter provides that and it states this sleep apnea was caused by that. If you need like a nexus letter template, there's my website, the Vetawarenessproject.com. You go to resources, it'll say VA Nexus letter, and it gives you a template of what it should look like in case you need to fill one of those out with a private doctor. See, my computer crashed on me again. My computer just crashed on me again. While I was working to try to fix it, the computer just crashed on me again. So it's like I need to figure out what's going on because my computer has crashed twice back to back in a matter of like 10 minutes. So I need to figure out what the hell is causing that. Because I should not be dealing with that issue. But that's what I'm saying. When it comes to that, that's something you don't have to worry about it when it comes to the DBQ, the CMP for sleep apnea. Your paperwork is self-explanatory. That's one of those self-explanatory ones. When it comes to, like, let's say anything musculoskeletal, that's when you run into it differently, because you can have the documentation, but then they have to evaluate you. Like, you can have a slip disc, but they have to evaluate you to see how that slip disc is affecting you, how's it bothering you, what's it causing in that case. So, but sleep apnea, that one's straightforward. It's just like, you need a CPAP machine. You don't need to explain that. Nobody has to ask you why you need a CPAP machine. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like, that one don't worry about. That was just like, just make sure that the service connection is there and that Nexus letter provides that connection. That should be your concern. Not about the CMP exam. The connection from what you are causing it, what you are saying is the reason it became a secondary. So whatever that first thing is if you have a medical study or you have your doctor that has studies and stuff like that, that's what you want to put into your claim to basically say, hey, this has been secondary. It became a secondary, but here are studies that attribute this connecting to this. This has caused this. And you have that. That's the evidence you want to put in there, because they don't need any other evidence besides the sleep study. That's the simple one. That's one of the easy ones to get with, as long as you have the documentation. But it's just, okay, I'm attempting to connect it tonight. That's fine. You can connect it, but that's what I'm saying is just like, it's that Nexus letter. Because the thing is it's easy to prove sleep apnea. That one's easy to prove. What you are trying to make sure you are proving is that it is caused by the tinnitus. So that is having a Nexus letter stating, hey, my tinnitus has gotten to the point where it has developed my sleep apnea. Here are the studies showing that tinnitus and sleep apnea are correlated in this manner. That's what you need to make sure you're explaining. The connection. That's the part you need to make sure you are emphasizing on, making sure that Nexus letter explains that, or you find studies that explains that, and a documentation that explains the connection between your tinnitus causing and creating your sleep apnea. Because you already have a study showing you have sleep apnea, so they're not going to deny that part. It's like, they understand you have sleep apnea. Now it's you making sure that you are connecting it, that tinnitus is the cause for the sleep apnea. That's your main concern. That is what you want to get documentation for. That is what you want to emphasize. Because if you don't do that, then it's just like, yeah, you got sleep apnea, but it wasn't the tinnitus. So it's like, you got the sleep study and you have that done. I was like, I don't need to ask you any paperwork for sleep apnea, but I do need to figure out if it did connect because of your tinnitus. So that's your main objective, is making sure you can prove that connection of tinnitus to sleep apnea and it causing it by the tinnitus. Once you have that, you're good. If you cannot make that connection, that's where you're going to run into problems. So that's the main objective you have to do. You have to make sure that you are doing that part. If you do that part, you'll be set. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Where is this fucking file? Okay, I need to put this on a drive. Give me 1 second real quick. I was like, that's the main objective. That's what it is. Because it's funny. I was explaining that to my friend's husband today also. When it comes to CMP exams, when they're asking you at CMP exams, most of the time, the stuff that you already can provide and prove, they're not going to ask you in-depth questions on. Like, if you have it in your medical record and that's the first thing that pops up, is just like, oh, let's say you have migraines, right? But the first thing they pull up in your records is like, you have migraines and you've been prescribed medication for this amount of time on that. It was just like, Okay, I don't need to ask anything else on migraines. I can clearly see he has it. Now the question becomes, because of rating and looking at the CFR, how bad does he have them? How often does he have them? That's the questions they start asking. It's like, how does it affect you? Sleep apnea is easy to answer. I was just like, I'm tired of shit all the time. My body's not getting enough oxygen. I wake up groggy and stuff like that. I'm tired. That's easy to explain. I don't need to ask you that because that's one of those claims that is just like it's self-explanatory. But when it comes to anything else, it's like, hey, how does it affect you on a daily basis? Are you able to move this much? What's your range of motion? Musculoskeletal and stuff like that, that's what's different. But sleep apnea is just like, bro, when you got that diagnosis and you got the study to do it, I ain't gotta ask you shit. How did you get sleep apnea? Becomes the question. How did you get it? If it's being claimed as a secondary, it's just like, okay, what are you claiming caused it? Oh, tinnitus? Show us the proof. Show us how it's related. Show us how it's connected. That's why it's making sure you have a nexus letter explaining that. Okay, you got tinnitus? Cool. We see that you have tinnitus. How did it connect to sleep apnea? Well, this study shows this, and that. And this is how tinnitus can turn into this. With the constant ringing into the ears, it becomes this like that. That's where you have to get the evidence. That's where you have to do the homework. And that's where sometimes it's like some doctors already have that information. So it's easy for them to just make that nexus letter and be like, oh, I've done studies on sleep apnea and how it's connected to tinnitus. If you can, try to reach out to the person that did the sleep study. Most people don't think to do that. The place that you did the sleep study, reach out to them and just ask. It was like, hey, I had a question. I was just trying to see if you had any documentation, anything that can provide showing how tinnitus has been a cause for sleep apnea. And if they have that, that should have worked wonders for you because now you have the documentation from the place that diagnosed you with sleep apnea. Because you know they're going to have the information. Your doctor may not specialize in that, so he may not know. But the place that did the sleep study is going to know. That's the VA provided the study. You can still ask them. Or you can just call out and reach out to another place that does a sleep study. Because they're going to do their sleep study also. The VA can provide that. But then you can also reach out to other, like, hey, you just had a question. It was just like, hey, I'm looking into trying to get a sleep study. And it was just like, I was trying to see if there was any connection between it. Just act naive and just ask a question to a sleep study place. And be like, hey, I was wondering if you had any information or any like studies on how tinnitus can cause sleep apnea, or if you have a place where you reference studies that show what causes tinnitus or what causes sleep apnea. If you find something like that, please come back to me and tell me, because that would be great information. But it's just like looking at it, just like, do you have any research that does that? And if you can find that, it's just like the VA did it. That's why they didn't do a CMP, because it's just like they did it themselves. They know what they just did. So, and it's just like doing it like that. Those little instances go a long way. When you get that and you have it, and it's just like, okay, you have it. It's just you making sure that you are contributing and showing that information, because that's the vital information that you need. That's what you need to make sure you can explain. The connection. Don't give a shit about anything else. You already got the proof, the diagnosis, and the evidence. It's the connection. The connection between tinnitus, sleep apnea. The connection between tinnitus, migraines. The connection, whatever it is that it caused it as a secondary, that is your main objective, is making sure you can provide information and show that that is why it is happening. Because if you can't contribute that, your sleep apnea is going to go to waste. They're just going to see to it as like, yeah, we diagnosed you with sleep apnea. We didn't cause the shit. Your tinnitus didn't cause the shit. You just got sleep apnea. Because then that's the easy way to deny you, because it's just like you got no way of connecting this stuff. So that's your main thing, Grip. Make sure evidence is the connection between tinnitus and sleep apnea. Don't worry about the CMP exam and stuff like that. If they do one, it'll still be, I don't even think they'll do it, because it's just like there's no point to it. But that is your objective. Don't do anything else. What you are doing from here on out is finding the research, finding the stuff that makes sure that they can see, you can hand that to your in your evidence and your claim. Tinnitus caused my sleep apnea. You have that, you're golden. That's a 50% rating. You get your CPAP machine. Yep, it's at the yep, and that's what it is, because that's what they're looking for. They're gonna look at the connection part, because they know for many veterans that is a connecting factor. The thing is that not every veteran knows how to prove that. So it's easy for me to say, well, GRIP didn't have anything saying that it was actually connected in here or didn't provide any document. Denied. I was like, not that it wasn't true. It's just that you didn't have anything to support it happening. I was just like, that document that you didn't provide them could just be an easy way for them to say, well, you didn't show anything that actually provided that this was the cause for it. We're going to deny this. It's crazy to think about it like that, but it's like us as veterans have to think about it in that manner. It was just like, you got to remember, these VA raiders have no idea who you are. No idea who you are. No idea what your MOS is. No idea what your daily tasks were. No idea how your deployment was, if you deployed, how your training exercising was, how your PT regimen was. They don't know nothing about you but what you present them. So you have to make sure you are painting that picture for them so that they better understand what is going on. They have to be able to see your documentation and understand, oh, this is who GRIP is. This is what GRIP used to do. This is how it affects GRIP. This is their buddy statement, whatever the case. That's what you need to make sure you're doing. Because you're talking to somebody that doesn't know you. And that's the thing that veterans need to understand, that without a doubt, you have to, like I tell people most of the time on my lives, you have to be able to give your packet to a random person, and that person should be able to tell you what's wrong with you. If that person can't tell what's wrong with you, how the hell is a VA raider going to? The VA raider knows what it's looking for, but if a person that doesn't know what they're looking for can't identify what's wrong with you, and it's not clear as day, then that puts that doubt into, is a VA raider going to identify it also? They know what they're looking for, but if your case isn't strong enough, it's an easy way for them to just be like, denied. Or what they do is that they deny it, and that's why you see in your ratings page, it's just like, what is it that they like to fucking put? We found favorable evidence. That fucking line, that always pisses me off. We found favorable evidence, but we didn't connect it. Bro, what? That shit has always confused the shit out of me. It was like, so you found favorable evidence, but you still denied my claim. Okay. I was like, we found favorable evidence, but we didn't find anything that says, basically it's them saying, we see that you have this issue, but we did not find any information that tied it to being caused by the military. Same thing with secondaries. If you don't have any information that is showing how it tied to your primary issue, it's not hard for them to say no. And especially if you run into somebody that's lazy and be like, bro, that's an easy denied. Just stamp it. Next packet. So that's how veterans need to look at it. You need to make sure that you have everything you need to make sure you are successful. You are the one filing the claim. You are the one going through the process. Nobody else is. If you can't explain thoroughly what you're going through and how it connects, how do you expect somebody else to understand thoroughly what is going on with you and what is expected? So that's the mentality that veterans need to start processing. It's not that the VA is lazy. Sometimes you got lazy VA workers. I can't deny that. You got great ones and you got bad ones. But at the same time, if you're not doing your due diligence, you making it easier for them not to. If you did your due diligence and your shit is like concrete, that it's just like, even a person that just started that don't know how the system works, it was like, man, this guy, yep, he got his letter. He even got a damn buddy statement explaining this. He got a personal statement explaining how it affects him and stuff like that. It's just like, damn, it's kind of hard to say no to something that has concrete evidence. It's easy if your shit is iffy. It's easy to just be like, yeah, we found evidence, but we didn't find a connection because you didn't provide a connection. You just said you got sleep apnea. A lot of people develop sleep apnea. Doesn't mean it was caused by tinnitus. You might be able to use the sleep apnea and it was service connected to something else also. Doesn't only have to be tinnitus, but where's your proof? Where's your documentation? Where's a nexus letter from a sleep study expert or a sleep expert showing that this is why these are connected? Those are the things that you got to keep in mind when it comes to it. But don't worry, the CMP exam, don't worry about. What you're worrying about is making sure you have that documentation. And even if that means that you have to find information and you find information down the road before it even gets completed, submit it. It might delay the stuff and it might send it back. But the more ammunition you have, the better your rating is going to look. It might take longer. The back page is going to be better. I would rather somebody get a whole lot of back pay than get their shit denied. So you get what I'm saying? Like, those are the instances there that people need to realize. I would just say, look, if the process is going to take longer, process is going to take longer. But if it's going to be right, that means you're going to get paid. Instead of it being wrong, and then you got to appeal again, and then you just extended the time when you could have saved yourself the time by providing what you needed to. So always keep that in mind. Those are the things that it's just like most people don't fully realize, and it's just like, this is important stuff. This is important paperwork. And that goes with any secondary you file and claim for. You got to make sure that your shit is concrete. There's tons of things that you can connect to secondaries. I was like, this connected to that, this connected to that. But then it's also, you have to realize when you're doing that, if you have a bunch of secondaries connected to a certain thing, if something changes with your primary, that's how you end up getting these massive reductions. That's how veterans end up losing. That's why a lot of people be like, don't poke the bear. Don't file for another claim and stuff like that. If all your other claims is good and you have issues that have not gotten better, you don't got to worry about it. But if you go and say, hey, you had tinnitus and then it caused sleep apnea, which then your sleep apnea caused insomnia because now you can't sleep as well because this damn machine messes with your damn sleep. You just have two other factors, which would go to a mental health rating and it goes to a sleep apnea rating. You're saying tinnitus caused this. Let's say you go and you do the hearing thing and you pass with flying colors. You hearing perfectly now. They're going to look at that and they're going to be like, well, if he can hear better, then his sleep apnea shouldn't be as bad. Meaning if his sleep apnea isn't as bad, that means his insomnia isn't as bad either. Meaning he should be sleeping better, which might reduce your rating. Meaning he doesn't have sleep apnea as bad. But the thing is, since you got a CPAP machine, it'll stay 50. But at the same time, that might lower your tinnitus rating. And if your tinnitus is no longer bad, then they might be like, hey, now your sleep apnea shouldn't be as bad. That's what people don't think about when it comes to it. That's why it's like, it's very difficult when it comes to all these secondaries being attached. That's how you end up losing a lot. But when it comes to anything else, that doesn't happen. I was just like, when you have those secondaries to the secondaries to the secondaries to the secondaries, like a lot of people do, when one of those goes bad or improves and they show improvement, that means the rest of your shit might get worse. Or your rest of the stuff should be improving because that was what caused your first issue. If you have everything just service connected in the first place, you don't run through that problem. Because then it's just like, well, if they're going to evaluate you to fix it, or you get you file for an increase or something, then it's just, this is the main issue. But from here, you can't really improve tinnitus because you're just going to get 10%. It could be that it leads to hearing loss or Meniere's disease and stuff like that. There's just like you're fluttering in the ear or that, or it may be causing vertigo. Those are different things that everything can be attributed to it, but you need to prove it. And that's the biggest thing. It's showing that. If you can do that, that's what it is. Just most veterans, when they file for disability claims, they have no idea that they got to prove all this stuff because they just think, oh, I did the sleep study. That should be self-explanatory. Yeah, for the sleep study. not for how tinnitus caused it. Those are the things where, those are the tricky parts where veterans don't pay attention to, and that's what it ends up being. And then they end up pissed off or in shock when it's just like, well, your service claim was denied. And be like, but I did this and I did that. It was just like, I had this. It was just like, well, you didn't connect it. You didn't have documentation that showed that that was the reason for it. Same way with a lot of, and that's what a lot of veterans go through when it's after service. It makes it more difficult because it's like you have to now contribute to stuff. Most 10 times out of 10, you should have an excess letter for anything. When it comes to your out of service, when it comes to a increase, you don't need that because literally it's going to show that and it's going to provide it. You're just trying to file an increase. So now you're just showing how it's worsened. But then it's also looking at the Code of Federal Regulations, looking at the schedule of ratings, looking at what can improve and what can't. If you're filing for something that isn't going to give you a higher rating because the stuff that you have just leaves you at the same stuff, you wasting time. But then that leads and opens you up to reevaluation for whatever other things are connected to it or around that. Because it's like, well, you filed for an increase. Since you did that, we might as well check everything else, or we might as well check what this was connected to and stuff like that. So that's why it's those little tidbits that most veterans fail to realize, and that's what ends up shooting them in the foot. So it's just making sure you do that, have it well, do it correctly, fill out your paperwork, get your paperwork to solidify what it is you're claiming, and you'll be good to go. I was just like, most of the time it's just veterans don't know that. Veterans just think, I filed for this, I put this on there, I'm good to go. So don't do it that way. Don't give a VA rater the opportunity to deny you. Don't give them the opportunity. If you shaky about it, they definitely don't give a shit. So you got to remember, there's too many people they got to go through. There's so many files they got to look at. There's so much documentation they're going to look at. If you're not putting that shit out straightforward for them to just see and recognize, I was just like, bro, I'm not going to go crazy reading through all this stuff. I was just like, if you had a document of like 500 plus pages, you think they're going to sit down and read 500 plus pages? No, they not. If you didn't read it, I sure as hell know they ain't going to. But just keep that in mind. That's your biggest thing. Paperwork, documentation, documentation, documentation. That is the biggest thing always when it comes to filing through the VA. I was like, that's what people need to realize. That's what people need to pay attention to. Make sure you are taking care of that. Once you have that taken care of, you'll be golden. But if you're not taking care of that, you're gonna run into problems. You're gonna get denials. You're gonna be in the appeals process. You got to deal with this. You got to work through that, and it's just like it ends up being not worth it. Well, you feel it's not worth it because it's just like it's so much of a tedious headache that it's just like, man, I just had to go through all this to try to get this done, and it was just like, now I got denied. Just take care of your stuff. Prove everything, highlight everything, showcase everything, and you'll be good to go. If you don't do that, you're gonna extend your wait time and extend your process. There's no need to do it. You do things right the first time, you'll get your right results the first time. What's up, Brian? And I was like, and that's what it is. Once you get that done, trust me, life becomes 10 times easier when you have the stuff already prepared and you have what you need to be successful. If you don't do that, you're just running into delays. You're just delaying what you should have had. And then it's like you can't even say anything about it because it's just like, what are you going to say? Oh, you were trying to do this. So I was like, well, you tried, but you didn't do it correctly. Now let's go through that process. Now you're going through that process. It's just like, shit. Now I got to figure this out. Now I got to fix this. Now I got to do this. And it's just like all that stuff ends up adding up and you will realize it and just be like, damn, I could have done this by doing this. If you didn't do it that way, at the end of the day, you only have yourself to blame when it comes to that point where it's just like you tried to do what you had to, but you didn't do it. Well, this is going to happen. Why can't I send this to? Trying to work on fixing my damn computer with this shit. I'm mad at the fact that I upgraded it and the shit just started. It died twice on me already. I wouldn't say died; it just like crapped out. So that's why the live went from my computer to my phone. Cause the only way my phone does. Let me just double check before I start talking nonsense. Okay, my battery's still good, so I don't gotta don't worry about it right now. I'd be highly upset if my phone just ended up dying too. Then I was just like, you know what that means, y'all? I'm done for the day. So I was like, I'm gonna go play some video games or something, or just go relax. I was just like, oh man. All right, so I gotta see because I'm just checking this. See how I gotta configure this and change it so that way it runs fine. Because that's the issue I think it's happened. Because I think the BIOS is out of date. It's a new CPU, so that's maybe what's causing this issue. Because it's twice that it's already crapped out, like it's crashed on me. So we'll see if that works. But yeah. Any other questions? Just fire away. That's the whole point of these, is just to ask questions and just assist people as best they can so that they know their best outcome and the best way of moving forward. I don't have every answer, but I will guide you to where you get that right answer. I think that's the biggest thing is just to make sure you have that. Make sure you have your information correct. Make sure you're going about the process correctly. Make sure you are documenting everything. Make sure you are resourcing everything. Make sure you have everything that will allow you to be successful that on a first time go. And you don't got to worry about the appeals process. Because look, the way the VA is going right now with all these cuts and is cutting here, cutting there, to go through the appeals process means you are going to be on a longer wait period to get your stuff taken care of. So now it is a big thing of just like, you have to make sure your stuff is concrete the first time so you don't end up in an appeals process that might take a year. So like I said, the back pay will be nice, but you could have been making that money a lot sooner instead of waiting for somebody to check something that you already knew you had. That makes stuff difficult. It doesn't make it worthwhile to do. So as always, what'd they send you, Brian? Did you get one of those? There's going to be a delay emails or letters, because I've heard from a couple of people that they're sending a letter saying like, oh, we're apologizing for the delays. I was just like, damn, y'all apologizing early as hell. Y'all didn't say shit about my claim, but all of a sudden y'all want to say sorry because it might be delays, and then they don't tell you how long the delay is. That's the best part about it. There's going to be delays. Can't tell you how much it is, but. That's what it is. You gotta make sure your shit is good to go. Good to go the first time. Get educated on it and use the resources you have. There's no need to pay people for any of this shit. Because if you can get let me see. We received the VA form to supplement the claim. We are returning this application to you because it was incomplete. That happens a lot, Brian. You're not the first one that happens to. You are definitely not the first one that happens to. Please take the following actions. The only signature. Oh, a revoked attorney? So that means whoever you were using lost their license. So that's why they're not accepting it. You went through a VSO? Or you went through like a law? Because the thing is, you got to remember, they're starting to change a lot of that. They're starting to change, like they're starting to go after these VA claims agencies that aren't accredited. Yeah, you could have been working for them for 3 years, but when you submitted that, they might have changed it, because you got to remember, with this administration and all the stuff that's been going on, there's a lot of changes happening. And the thing is people ain't being notified, and we're not being notified of these changes till we find out the hard way. So it could be that this attorney has been working. They have been paying them. I would contact the VA, but I would definitely contact the attorney first and start asking questions like, hey man, why am I hearing that your shit got revoked? Because they should be able to fix that. Because if you paying somebody, that's something they should be able to fix. Because if they're saying that that person got revoked, it may be that, hey, that attorney, what I think is going to happen a lot is because that they had a committee hearing, I think it was like a week or two ago, and it was like grilling all these entities that help veterans. And the thing is some of these associations are not accredited. The attorney might be, but the group that he works with may not be accredited. So they may take it as, okay, you're an accredited attorney, but you are under and working for this entity that is not accredited. So since they're not accredited, we're revoking your ability to do that under them, kind of stuff. That may be the thing, but I don't know. That's just me thinking. That's me thinking like what possible reasons it could be. But that I think is gonna be happening a lot with a lot of these VSO or attorneys or something like that. If you're not accredited, they may decide, you know what, you're not accredited or recognized by the VA. You are an entity, but you are not recognized by the VA. So we're not going to accept this signature kind of stuff. They're trying to do a crackdown on all that stuff because the thing is some of these attorneys are good, some of them are not. Some of these entities are just like, the VA cannot tell me anything. Ask your attorney. That's who you need to ask, because he's going to have to find out why he got revoked. Because that means anything else that he submits, he's not going to be able to process. So the VA might not be able to tell you because they don't know. That would be the regular VA level would not probably know that answer. That's like a higher level kind of thing. To revoke an attorney, that's a higher level thing. That's not a person that answers the regular phones. Okay. I would say, but that's one thing there. When it comes to a decision like that of like revoking an attorney or not accepting something from a certain entity or organization, that's not who we regularly call level. That's more like department higher up level that's making that call. But that's something you need to talk to the attorney and be like, look, man, I don't know what the hell is going on, but they turned this back because they said they revoked you as the entity I can use. So you need to figure out why my shit got revoked or why your shit got revoked in order to make sure you don't end up losing out on more stuff and more claims. Because all that's going to mean is that basically they have your attorney's name on a list. Well, you're on this list. They said I had the VSO as my rep and not the attorney. Oh, that's interesting. So they didn't have you represent. That's interesting. So they had a VSO representing you and not the actual attorney through the thing. That's odd. I don't know. There, I'm not sure. And since the VSO wasn't on that application, they closed it. The crazy thing is that they closed the account because most of the time they don't close it. They'll just send you back and it'll just delay the process and you just have to refill it out. But the fact that that was there, that was just like, that's something that you would still have to inquire. It was just like, what documentation did y'all have and what can y'all show me that shows that this is what I had? Because when I produced it and I submitted it, it was correct. But now all of a sudden, according to y'all, this shit is not correct. So which one is it? Because that just sounds like a whole shit show. I was just like, you had somebody else on it, but then that person wasn't on it and didn't sign it, so we kicked it back. I was just like, so how did y'all get it the first one? Because if you filled out the 2122A the first time around, it should have that attorney on there because that's who you've been using. So how did y'all end up switching me over to a VSO when I haven't even been using a VSO? You see what I'm saying? That's where it's kind of, and that's why that's kind of confusing and weird that they like screwed that up. It was just like, how did you tell me that the letter I submitted was placed under somebody else, but signed by somebody else, even though I've been using the same person? But the thing is every time you submit something, it's different. Each time you submit a new claim, it's different. It was like, you may have that representation, but to them, they might look at it as just like, we don't know if it's the same person, same entity. And like I said, they're doing a massive crackdown on these things. They're just not vocalizing it all over the place. But I can assure you that they are trying to make it that it's just like you are. That's why they passed the bill basically. It's like the Veterans Benefits Act, and that incorporated having it that the VSOs are getting more resources. So like people through the VFW, the American Legion, the DAV, they're making it so that they wanted that VSOs are getting more resources to take care of veterans to eliminate these outside entities. Because they want you to go through the VA and they don't want you to go through the outside. Because some people are just being, preyed upon. Like, hey, you don't know any better, I'm gonna charge you thousands. VSOs is free, but they want to give them more resources. So it depends. But in a situation like that, that's where your attorney has to do their job. Hey, bro, we submitted this right the first time. They closed it. But then the thing is do you still have that same file to intent date? Because if you do have the file to intent date and they just kicked it back, you're still good. Because all you're doing is submitting the stuff back over there and you should be good to go after that. But if they like close that intent to file date, that's when it's like your attorney needs to earn his pay and it's like, look, bro, they just closed this out completely. You need to figure this out. This is beyond my means. This is what you get paid for, kind of thing. And just do it like that. But that's just weird to have paperwork just like magically change. Like, what does that happen? You see what I'm saying? Like, how does that happen? You just magically found new information that didn't really pertain to anything, and it's just like it's there. It's just like that's kind of odd. You've been using the same person, same documentation. They already have it as they are in charge of it, but then somehow you submitted. They received another document saying that a VSO was in charge of them, was in charge of you when they never have been. I don't know. But that's something you got to get with your attorney and be like, look, man, you getting paid for this. Let's figure this out. Because if they revoked you, it's either they revoked that person as an attorney because maybe he's associated with an organization, or it was just a fuck up on the VA. Which I'm leaning towards it was a fuck up on the VA, but yep, I figured. So it's just basically them saying it's just like it's basically them saying you like we found this error. If this error is incorrect, you're just gonna file it in, send it back, and you'll be good to go. If you don't say this is an error and you don't say anything back, it's the same thing. It's the same thing that they do when it comes to a reduction. They give you 60 days before they reduce it. You have 30 days to say you want to appeal it and produce info. Basically, you have 30 days to appeal it so that you can go and like go to court for it or go to the decision process of them not reducing you. But if you go to 60 days and don't produce anything, don't submit anything, don't say anything, after 60 days, they basically take it as, well, you okay with this reduction? We're going to keep this reduction in place. That's why it's just that there's two dates. There's the 30 days, which you have 30 days to basically appeal it. And then you can submit documentation and stuff like that. You can submit the documentation between that. But if you don't have anything, you don't say anything, don't submit anything within 60 days of you receiving that letter that you are getting the reduction, they're going to reduce you in 2 months. That's their magical number. What it seems like with everything, you got 60 days. Hey, that's fine, Brian. If you know that's going to get you to 100%, they just going to pay you more. That's the way you got to look at it too. I was like, look, it's annoying, it's painful, but at the same time, Y'all gonna pay me. It's gonna take y'all gonna pay me though. Y'all want to delay this more when this is foolproof? I'm fine with that. That just means you giving me a couple more months of checks added on. That's it. Also, you got to take it. You got to take that. Sometimes you just got to take that as a win. Like sometimes that delay sucks, but it's just like, hey man, that's a couple more months of pay in my thing. However long now it takes to do it, they finished the entire claims yet sent me that letter. Oh, that's weird. That's your attorney's job there. At that point, like if you went through the whole thing, got everything done, and then all of a sudden it's just like this was a revoked attorney, I was just like, that's weird. I was just like, if it's already done, you're still gonna get the back pay. It's gonna take what however long it takes them to process that you submitted this file, the representation thing, and you put it in there. After that, it's just like, okay, pay me. That's an ABA. Where's my check at? Where's my back pay? I was just like, y'all know what y'all did. Y'all just trying to delay this. And if look, the thing is Brian, if you don't know any better, you go those 60 days, don't say nothing, don't submit nothing, and what do? You just lost your whole claim. The VA sometimes be doing that shit, but sometimes it's like sometimes you wonder, are they doing this shit on purpose or is it just, clerical fuck up? Because clerical fuck ups happen. It happens. You can't, it happens. Could have been somebody tired, could have been somebody lazy, could have been something they just overlooked. But at the same time, as long as you can correct it and they make it right, it's like, yeah, does it suck? Yes. But if I'm gonna get the back pay at the end of the day and it's gonna contribute to me being okay after and everything being okay, even though it's delayed a couple of months, it's like we gotta understand mistakes are made. But stuff like that, I was like, you got an attorney, you have it. If you good to go, that's why it's like you shouldn't even worry about it. Do what you got to do. Submit it. Just like, all right, y'all made a mistake. Cool. Nothing else changes. All y'all need is this document. Just knock that out. Send that to them. Get your stuff. Get your evaluation. Get your rating. Get your back pay, and be on your way. Dennis Mall, what's up? I was like, that just makes it simple. It's just sometimes it's gonna be delays with our stuff. Why can't I get this one to? Is it blue or is it red? Let me see. But yeah, that's the base thing. But yeah, that's mostly it. Once you identify those things, it's it's tedious. It sucks, yeah. But at the same time, once you get it done, it's done, and then you don't have to worry about it. But it's just making sure you have that. Okay, so that's why isn't the second one linking? But yeah, that's mostly it when it comes to that. Any of those things, it's easy to do. It's just paperwork. They fuck up sometimes. You gotta understand that. It's not always gonna be perfect, but Just making sure we're perfect on it is what matters. Why is this not linking? All right, y'all. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it a night. We did the one earlier and the computer crashed. I'm gonna try to see if I can fix the computer uh, for tomorrow to make sure that tomorrow the stream is good, doesn't crash out on me. So I appreciate y'all. Grip again. Appreciate the super chat as always. I appreciate those donations. Helps with the channel. Appreciate you as always. Hopefully everything goes well. And like I said, make sure you are looking into the information you need to show that service connection, because that is going to be the most important thing that you have and you need to provide to be successful with your claim. But if nobody else got any other questions, I appreciate y'all. And I will see y'all tomorrow, 12 noon Central Time, here on the YouTube channel. And we'll go off of that and we'll just do what we can from there. Appreciate y'all. Peace.